Well, the day is finally here, and I have the Nintendo Switch 2 in my hands, and we're going to be doing a little unboxing here. You know, I wanted to do this video yesterday when the majority of YouTubers got their Nintendo Switch. However, I was one of those unfortunate people that pre-ordered the system from Target.com, and the pre-order wasn't set to deliver on release day. However, it's only a day later, you know, better late than never, or the original estimated date of June 11th, which is like a week from release day. But I'm so excited to be opening this up and checking out the Nintendo Switch 2. So let's get into it. Alright, so first and foremost, I don't know if it's just the box or the system itself, but this thing, well, it's heavy. So let's open it up and let's see what comes in the box. I want to try to preserve this as much as possible without like ruining the box. You know, for many of you people who know, when the first Nintendo Switch came out, it was right before I started this channel, and I used to use my Switch 1 box as almost like a tripod for my camera. So we open this up, it looks like it opens this way. So that would have been my first mistake. And immediately, you have the console and the Joy-Cons right here, which I kind of like this. You know, I want to go grab my OLED for a second just to compare this, because this system, holy cow, it's big. The Joy-Cons are bigger, you know, everything's bigger as advertised. And, you know, I was seeing online people said the Joy-Cons felt better. Now, the plastic itself feels like it has like a matteness to it on the Joy-Cons, but they definitely feel bigger in my hands, and that's like a good thing in the sense of I always felt like the original Joy-Cons felt kind of like toys. They were a little flimsy. They weren't kind of my cup of tea. But these actually are kind of comfortable. The thumbsticks, there's something a little different about them. I don't know if it's like the nubs they put on them, because they feel, I don't know, they feel smoother. Nintendo definitely did something with this. The buttons are bigger as well, but I kind of want to see that magnetic connect that people are raving about. Oh wow. So it just kind of goes in, and it's not like pullable. I like how it just snaps, and it feels like one solid console. I hate that there's certain things on the screen already that like came on right after I unboxed it. You gotta keep this thing as clean as possible. So when you look at the console, it's very familiar to the Nintendo Switch 1. You have your game card slot over here, your volume, your power button, but now you have your additional USB-C right over here. How does the game card thing open? So this opens a little different, actually. It was originally just like a nub that would like twist down. It kind of goes up now. And the game card slot itself feels a little bit bigger. I don't know if that comes across on camera compared to the original Nintendo Switch. But this thing is definitely hefty, right? Like, I want to see that kickstand. The kickstand seems very, very sturdy. And down here is where you would throw your micro SD express card. Now, I do have a bunch of accessories coming, but nothing, unfortunately, has gotten delivered as of this point. However, my first game, aside from Mario Kart World, which I got the bundle, is set to deliver later on today. What do we have in here? Oh, full game download for Mario Kart World. We're going to put that to the side. You have your little kind of instructional manual, your ultra high speed HDMI cable, and then these. These are like apparently magnet add-ons for like to put the Joy-Cons in mouse mode. I kind of want to test that out while we're checking out the base console. Now, to my knowledge, you hit this little thing to disconnect the Joy-Con. Yep, kind of like has like an unlatching feel to it, which is very, very cool. I want to just see how one of them goes on, just to see how it feels. Now, from what I've seen, it just kind of snaps on. This also, I guess, uses a little bit of like a magnet technique, and it does. It goes right on. don't mind my dirty table, but it's actually a very like smooth mouse feel. I'm gonna have to test that out like eventually. The question is, how do you get this off now? Does it just like snap off? No. Oh, so you have to use that same button to snap these off. It's a very nice, sleek console. I didn't realize how much bigger the screen was going to be. So hold on, for comparison, let me go grab my OLED Switch. So the OLED Switch, comparatively, is significantly smaller. I think you guys can see it a little bit better there. So that's a big jump in terms of like screen real estate and even just system real estate. But I kind of like it. I think it's going to be very interesting turning the system on, which I guess I'll do because I want to just see how nice that screen is. I know these come with like a little bit of a battery. So let's see compared to the OLED. And this looks, there we go, first boot up. Wow. This thing's big. I like it. Like, look at just how different in screen size that is. That's going to be so fun to be playing stuff on. I'm going to turn the volume down a little bit because it is playing some kind of cool little like jingle to it. Let's take a look at the other accessories before I start setting up the Switch itself. So I'm going to be doing a system transfer to get all my data over. Now, they give you this nice hefty charging brick. How many? Does it show how many watts it is? 15 watt, 45 watt, like up to a 60 watt charger, I guess it is, with a USB-C adapter. So it's not like on the Switch 1 where it was just like one actual AC adapter. It does come with a disconnectable USB-C, which I do kind of like. It makes packing this for like a trip a little more convenient. Here you have the new and improved Switch 2 controller grip, which kind of course, feels very similar to Switch 1. Let's throw the controllers on. I want to see how different that actually feels. But in itself, I am very, very intrigued. So again, it feels familiar. I do like how different the Joy-Cons feel. Like, I did just play with the OLED ones, and there's just something different about them. Like, you could tell there's a little bit of a change with just how they're designed. So we'll put the OLED back here, and we're going to look at the dock. Now, this dock in itself is beautiful. It's a little heftier because there's a built-in fan here now. I believe this part comes off, and you have your Ethernet port, your HDMI port, and your charger or AC adapter part. I kind of like that this is fully detachable. It probably will keep cable management a little bit cleaner versus how the other Switches, it was like a turn-down dock. It's also very cool that where the Ethernet cord goes is completely kind of exposed once this is on here. Which I don't know why they don't have the whole little bit exposed, just the Ethernet port. That must be for some kind of reason. But yeah, this is the Nintendo Switch 2. Overall, I am very impressed. This screen too, even though it's just an LCD screen, looks beautiful. So let's clean this up a little bit and let's talk about it. So overall, I'm initially very, very impressed with the Nintendo Switch 2. Again, the size difference just compared to the Switch OLED and like the Switch 1 is amazing. I should have brought out my Switch 1 from the other room to do like a full-on comparison, but the fact that the OLED was such a big improvement of the original Nintendo Switch just kind of shows in itself how ginormous this thing is. It is giving me almost like Steam Deck vibes in terms of size, but I was a big fan of the original Switch. I have so many Switch 1 games I still have to play because they're just very backlogged, which is why I only picked up certain games, right, for the Switch 2 so far. Like, I have Bravely Default Flying Fairy HD coming in today. I have Street Fighter 6 coming in. Of course, Mario Kart World. But what I'm really excited about, actually, today is to put in, for the first time, Pokemon Scarlet. See, I bought that game when it first came out, but again, we talk about the backlog, and I had heard all the things about how awful it ran, and knowing that they put an update out there that puts it up to 4K at like 60 frames per second, I'm excited to try to, or to see this game playing on how, I guess, how optimized it should have ran in the first place, right? I'm not here to judge because I never played it vanilla on the Switch 1, so playing it on the Switch 2 is going to be a first-time experience. But I'm super excited for this because, there were times where the Switch 1, I guess, was kind of small for my hands, right? At times, and, my arms would start kind of falling asleep, and I had to shake them out. And this feels like it'd be a little bit better in terms of that, because it just overall feels a lot better and easier to grip in the hands versus like the original Switch. I also kind of like that the Joy-Cons are a little more like rounded, if you guys can tell, like comparatively. They have like more of a sleekerness to it and not as much of like a blockiness. So it's going to be interesting, just playing all my Switch 1 games on this as well, just to see what optimizations they might get in updates. But I'm excited for a couple games coming out, right? Like, I'm probably one of the few people that didn't pick up Cyberpunk, only because I've played Cyberpunk on the PS5, and as much as I like the game, I didn't feel the need to pick it up again just to see what it's like on the Switch 2. I will be downloading quite a few things from the eShop. I do have a eShop gift card that I want to finally redeem, put some more games on here. But this is going to be a fun little thing. So I'm going to go ahead and set this up, have some fun, try out some Mario Kart, and, maybe I'll make another video soon with my my further impressions. We'll see, depending how it is. But overall, I like that Nintendo stuck with what worked for the Switch. The Switch was a very successful console, and a very fun console in itself, so the fact that they didn't try to deviate too far. Now, I say that as if the Wii to the Wii U wasn't deviating super far either. It was a very similar kind of upgrade path to this, except with the Wii U, they added the tablet controller, which I'm a big fan of, but I know a lot of people weren't. A lot of people didn't understand if it was an upgrade to the Wii or if it was a new system in itself, when it was like non-gamers looking at it for marketing. But doing Switch to Switch 2, I think kind of shows succession. Just adding a number, I think, helps a lot. I think this is going to be a very, very successful and fun console to play. Again, like I said, I want to start transferring all my data over, get to playing a little bit, and having some fun with this. So I will catch you later, guys. If you were able to pick up a Switch 2, what do you like about it so far? Leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. If you were picking up the console, leave your questions down below. I'll try to answer what I can. I'm excited to see this VRR, variable refresh rate, HDR screen, 120 frames per second on stuff. The screen itself, again, is a big upgrade in resolution, up to a 1080p screen. It is a 1080p screen compared to the 720. Even on the OLED 720, it was fine for what it was size-wise, but because they upped the size, I'm happy they upped the resolution. And then 4K on TV, that's going to be very interesting to see because it's the first Nintendo 4K console. So I will catch you later, guys. See ya. Bye.